What's up, guys? Welcome into a brand new episode of Chargers Weekly. No more Jack Hammond Sports Complex. We're here at the Hook Performance Center. A couple of days until preseason game number 3.
Yeah, we're still in the sun.
Yeah, we're still in the sun. You said we're going to find a strategic place, but you can't escape it.
Yeah, it's like I feel like they're trolling us.
Arcus did this.
Arcus
set this up.
Yeah, just put them in the sun. Even though you can't see on the other side of the camera, there is just acres of shade. Poor Bryce Callahan has to sit here in the sun cooking.
Hey, look at Bryce. Bryce sat down before we sat down.
Yeah,
ready to go, man.
I know.
Bryce, we appreciate you, man.
Oh, yeah, no, this is lovely compared to Texas. So.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All good weather.
Well, let's start there. You talk us through high school football in Texas. I know the legendary coach from Friday Night Lights just passed away, the guy that story was based on. Kind of walk us through what is it like growing up playing football in Texas?
So I want to say it's kind of like a second religion. They take it really serious and stuff. So in high school, like our stadium was, I think, like $17 million.
Jeez.
That we played in and stuff. So yeah, they take the football serious down there. But I had a blast. A lot of exposure to great players and stuff, great coaches, and I think it molded me to be the person I am today.
What are some of your favorite memories playing on Friday night in Texas?
Just having all like the students, the people you go to school with out there, packed out stadium, the lights come on. After Friday Night Lights was big too, so just that whole environment was really, refreshing. It was it felt good to be out there.
Yeah. So when you're a corner, clearly you're an athlete, which means you could probably have played any position out there, but you made the wise choice. Too many kids want to be wide receivers, and they don't flip to the other side of the field, and their options are limited. How did you end up in the defensive backfield, and what other positions were you playing?
So I came into high school mostly playing running back.
Of course.
And then they started doing a lot of the blocking stuff, so I was like, hey, I might just go over to the D side. And then I went back to safety, and then I fell in love with that. And then my favorite player at the time was Sean Taylor. So kind of want to mold myself after him. I wasn't as big as him, but
he was different.
Very few are.
Yeah.
I was in Washington for the 2 years, and I overlapped with him. And I don't think people realize if he would have played another 5 to 7 years, probably would have been the greatest safety we've ever seen, man. Easily.
He was a hard hitter. He was a ball hawk. He was doing it all.
He did it all. Yeah. So you go from corner to really, in your career in the NFL, man, you're a specialist in the slot. How did you decide, or how did that kind of evolution come to be?
So I was undrafted. So when you're undrafted, you kind of come at the bottom of everybody's list on the lineup and stuff. So I was the third corner. Didn't have much nickel work. I was only corner in college, and then I guess the nickels were kind of low, and so I asked my coach if I could give the nickel spot a chance. And then slowly but surely just made my way up, and then started nickel that year.
So what's kind of walk our listeners and us, because we're idiots, walk us through what do you have to change? Like, what's different playing in the slot versus playing outside, and how does that fit you so well?
I feel like more in the slot, you have to know the scheme. Well, it depends what scheme you're in, but you need to know where your help is, because now you're working with linebacker. Corner, you're just by yourself a lot of the time, just, hey, man up this guy. Once you get in the slot, you're working with more people, maybe your linebacker, safety, so you need to know what they do to help yourself in the defense. So actually learning the defense, what everybody does, and then it's a lot more quicker reaction stuff. They can go quick out, quick in. You don't have like the sidelines really to protect you like you can do at corner and stuff. So it's a lot more quicker reaction, and just need to know the defense out there like a little bit better.
So if I'm to interpret this correctly, to play slot, you have to be smarter than your outside corners. You're much smarter, and you have to be able to communicate better than outside corners, and you got to be able to work with others very well.
Yep.
And on top of all that, you kind of got to be better, right? Because so much more can happen from that spot.
Exactly. Wise coach told me that the nickel has to tackle like a safety, go field the run like a linebacker, and then cover like a corner. So
Look at that.
Got a mix of little everything.
That wasn't a humble brag. It was just the facts from Bryce, Just take us through this offseason and why Los Angeles and that prior relationship with Coach Staley made so much sense for you to be in Powder Blue now.
Well, once free agency hit, it's kind of slow for the most part. And then got a call maybe 3-4 weeks after free agency, said they might be interested and stuff. I'm already familiar with the coaches here, the scheme here, so I just felt like that would be the best fit for me. So as soon as they they told me they'd want me. I signed. I was out here. It's hard to beat LA.
This is going to be awkward, but I love it. It reminds people that sometimes things aren't always great. Sometimes on a football field, adversity strikes, right?
Yeah.
This is preseason. It's preseason for everybody.
Take us through those years in Chicago with Vic, and then I know Brandon was there, Coach Staley was there, and I shouldn't say Vic. Coach Fangio was there coordinating the defense. Coach Staley was there with the outside linebackers. So many people have adopted this system now. I mean, it has really caught on, and it's not like he was alone when you were in Chicago, but it was pretty unique. Everyone was kind of playing cover 3 or single high, and he was doing something different. Why is this style of defense? Obviously, it works because a lot of people are doing it now.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people are doing it, because they see it. They see that it works. You know, it's a nice little defense. I mean, it disguises a lot, so the quarterbacks have trouble really knowing what the defense is in a lot of the time, and I think that gives the defense the edge a little bit. And then there's just a lot of moving parts. Like, it's not just like, hey, go cover this man. Like, we could work with each other and pass things off and kind of make it difficult for the offense.
Now, one of the things that Money and I noticed, obviously during free agency, and then you see the guys that were here last year, everybody at least has working knowledge of the system now. So the guys who were here last year have 1 year under their belt. Bringing a guy like you, bringing a guy like Khalil, who was with Coach Staley. And there's a few other guys from the Rams that are on this defense. Troy, Morgan Fox. So Sebastian Joseph Day. So I guess the comfort level, even though you guys haven't played together, what has training camp been like in terms of gelling?
I feel like it's been pretty smooth. I mean, it's the same scheme. We all had our different little flavors of where we came from and how they ran that scheme, but overall it's the same scheme. So it wasn't too hard to, start clicking with each other. Maybe we had to pick each other's brains to see how they see this and how they play that. But overall, I feel like it was a smooth transition of, like, playing with new guys.
So here's what I want to know. You spend all these years in Denver, and you got to figure out how to cover Keenan Allen, because he's in the slot a lot. You're in the slot a lot. We hear best route runner, toughest guy to try to stay in front of. His moves are sudden. He's one gear the whole time. I'm answering the question for you. Walk us through what it's like covering Keenan.
Like our coach says, man, he has some voodoo. He has some.
he really does.
He has some nasty stuff to his moves and stuff. And like you said, he keeps everything the same pace, and then he'll just snap. And it's real hard to get a gauge on him. I'm still trying to get a gauge on him, and I've been playing him for a couple of years now. So I mean, he's nice. He has that voodoo for sure.
This DB's room with Asante and Mike and yourself and obviously JC, and we don't know when JC's coming back, hopefully sooner than later, but what is that group looking like, especially when you add Derwin James into practices now?
I think it's looking awesome, man, to be real with you, especially having Derwin back out there. Like, he's the quarterback of the defense, and he just gets everybody else going, make sure everybody's on their T's and stuff. So having him back is big for sure.
Give us a lot of people saying, maybe they're right, that the Denver secondary was best in football. When you come from a room like that, is it easier for you to kind of gauge talent, like what you have, what you don't have, because you guys had so much? I mean, it is really impressive what they got going.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. Playing with them, we had some older vets over there that really knew the game. So yeah, it definitely helps me gauge what we got over here, and what we got over here is great. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm sorry, Chris. It just popped into my head too. Hunter Renfrow, I think, is one of the more underrated guys out there. Because it's week 1. You're going to be playing the Raiders. You're going to be tasked with Hunter.
Yeah.
Walk us through what, kind of how you approach covering him and why he's been so successful early in his career.
Okay. I don't want to give away my secrets or anything,
but
he's a real shifty guy. He'll make 2 double moves sometimes triple moves. So you got to really stay attached with him and just kind of glue yourself to him, because you never know which way he's going to go. Or kind of, I don't want to say made up routes, but they work for him. So whatever he's got going, I mean, it's working. So my thing is just stay close and don't take your eyes off the guy.
Hey, you had Khalil in Chicago. You had Chubb and Von Miller in Denver. When you have Bosa and Mack up front to go with these other guys, Austin Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day, explain to our listeners and viewers what that does for a secondary. How much life is easier?
Just knowing those two are rushing. I know that the quarterback can't hold the ball for too long, and if he does, it's going to be bad for him. But that's a big advantage to our defense. And I feel like when you have really two really good rushers like that, it gives a secondary to get better chances to get takeaways and stuff, because the quarterback's going to be more antsy and rushed to get the ball out and stuff. So it gives us more opportunity too.
Is the way you describe the slot defender, is there a kinship between nickel corners and tight ends? Because tight ends, sometimes they got to be an offensive lineman. Obviously, they got to be a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they kind of got to be a running back, depending on what's asked of them. Do you feel a kinship with that position?
I could see that a little bit. They're a lot bigger than us for sure. But yeah, they do have to take on multiple roles. So I could see how flip side that. Yeah, I could see that. Okay. I could see the relation.
I feel I'm gonna pat myself.
Bryce, we're getting closer, man. Like 2 weeks from now, it's Raider week. You guys are.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's advanced planning already, but like it'll be Raider week in 2 weeks. Your excitement level for playing in this division with the Chargers now, with the Raiders and the Chiefs, really, first 2 games of the season going to set the tone.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm very excited. I feel like we got a good group of guys on both sides of the ball, and I feel like we're going to be ready for them, prepared.
All right, last one for me, Bryce, and I don't know how comfortable you are answering this, and it's a little bit down the road. I think Monday night, it's October 20th or so, we see the Broncos.
Yeah, 26, I think.
Man, that's an impressive receiver room, too. Of those guys, because you got Cortland Sutton, who, if you've never been down on the field, you don't realize how big that dude is. Patrick, is Hamler still there?
Hamler's still there. Patrick tore his ACL.
Yeah, that's right. Patrick out for the year. Jerry Jeudy, who's shifty. In your experience in practice, was there one that was a tougher cover for you than another?
Yeah, I would say Jerry, just because of his shiftiness. He's quick, and his routes he has pretty good routes. So I would say him for sure.
But this Chargers receiver room, you talk about Keenan.
Oh yeah.
What about Michael Bandy? How shifty Michael Bandy is?
Hey, he's up there. He's nice too, man. I know y'all been seeing him in the preseason. So yeah, he's been doing his thing for sure.
Bryce Callahan, appreciate the mic issues withstanding. We had a good conversation.
We had a great. I loved it. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. To adversity.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, man.
All right, man.
Appreciate that.
Take care, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate Bryce Callahan coming in, being prompt here on Chargers Weekly as we kick things off.
Beat us here.
Coach Staley just spoke. Maybe we can get one of the beat writers to jump in one of these seats and tell us what he said.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Well, we don't have a mic. I guess kind of. So I'll just have to. I don't know if I want to share my mic with Miller or Nick or
let's do
one of those guys or Popper.
I love a working.
Trust them.
I love a working podcast. Hey, Jeff Miller.
Well, see, now you're going to upset Nick. Now you're like Nick from SI. It's going to be like, hey, Nick, we don't want to talk to you. We just want to talk to Jeff.
No,
I think that's
incredibly
not the case at all.
Rude. Can we get? Come on.
I think that's incredibly rude.
Making me feel bad.
You're talking to Nick, and he's like, hey, Nick, you're not good enough to talk to us, but Jeff is. I told Chris I wouldn't have done that.
Jeff is in the family of podcasts, and we'll get Nick on. Jeff, this is a working podcast. We have one broken mic. We're back, as you can tell.
And one broken guy being interviewed.
That's right. Yeah, we only need you for 3 minutes. What did Brandon Staley say?
We asked repeatedly about J.C. Jackson, and we were told repeatedly it was minor, which is what dovetails with everything I've heard. But basically, it's the procedure they had to do. There's no broken bones. There's no structural damage. It was taken care of. Now they have to wait for it to heal. The actual wound that came about as a procedure. Now they just have to let that heal. He's going to hang in New York for a couple of days, and he'll be back here.
Get out of this. Get out of this, Chris. Go ahead. You asked the guy to come over. Now you're going to.
I did. I got the J.C. Jackson update, and now Austin Johnson's coming in. I just wanted to get. We needed to get the update.
You're already upset, Nick. Now you're insulting. Jeff. And now
we're off the rails. We're off the rails here at Jack Hammond.
In the sun, Austin. How do you think we feel? They've done this to us every week. Put us in the sun.
I didn't bring any water or anything, huh?
Jeff, thank you.
I'm in the high desert. I'm cooking out here.
Oh, all right.
Slow
So
roasting.
we got our J.C. Jackson update from Coach Staley, and now a seamless transition to Austin Johnson, with the newest defensive tackles for the Chargers. Man, how you doing?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Great.
Dude, it's hot. You're wearing the hoodie though.
Yeah, I feel great.
You got to come some weight. Because if you do, we got you covered. Put you in the hoodies.
No, I'm good right now.
Dude, how has camp been with the Chargers, your first season with the team?
It's been amazing. Guys really take care of your body. Coach Staley does a really good job. on defense, I mean, we just mesh really well, really fast. So, I mean, can't complain at all. Great group on the defensive line. It's a lot of great guys.
Love to, for people that listen and watch the pod, we love having you all on because we want you to kind of explain a lot of the things that people are going to hear throughout the, how people consume football now. They want to pretend like they watch, I was watching the tape, things like that, or they'll hear things like, oh, he's a 0 or he's a 3, or you've played everywhere for the most part. Can you walk us through that, what it's like playing nose versus playing the 3 or the 5, where you prefer to play, and what we're going to see from you think, most of the time this year?
For me, I mean, it really doesn't matter where I line up. I feel like I should be making plays wherever I line up at, 0, 3, 5, whatever. Wherever they ask me to line up, I feel like I should make plays. I feel like the difference, I feel like the closer you are to the ball, the faster everything happens. So if you're a 0, everything happens a lot faster than if you were a 4 or 5 out there on the tackle. But I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter. I feel like, to me, where I line up at, whether it's me at nose, Sebastian at nose, Braden at nose, Tito at nose, wherever I line up at, I feel like we all make a difference in there.
I think what's cool is week 1 you're going to see your former defensive coordinator Patrick Graham for the Raiders.
Sure.
What's the biggest difference between what he runs and what Coach Staley runs here in LA?
Goodness, that's hard because I tried to, try and clean slate my head to try and learn a whole new defense.
Yeah.
So for me, that's hard. I try not to think about anything else. But
I'm messing with his mind.
I
should have done that. I should have asked that question.
Right? We got him out in the sun. Now we're messing up his brains.
Yeah,
Jeez.
the hamster's going in there, so now I'm starting to sweat a little bit more. No. Goodness. I feel like in both defense styles, be able to be versatile. I feel like in PG's defense, I was more of a 0 because of the guys we had. We had Leonard and Dexter out there playing ends more times than not if I was in a 0. So I feel like I played a lot more 0 there than I do here. I feel like we all, kind of go back and forth what positions we play. I feel like that's the biggest difference for me personally.
Again, to kind of get into the weeds for the people, because they'll hear this, they'll hear it on broadcast. You know how technical things get now. Were you a single gap in New York? Because here everybody talks about gap and a half, and there were issues last year with kind of the gap and a half. Is that similar to what you played back there? And for people listening that don't understand what the heck that means, can you kind of share, what your responsibilities are when you've got the gap and a half responsibility instead of one gap?
Right. For me last year, I feel like we, 2-gapped a lot. And for what we kind of called it last year when I was on the Giants was, the guys inside have B to B. Whatever you guys have that. You guys are responsible for that. But, here, I mean, it's kind of similar in a sense. But the gap and a half, I mean, I enjoy it a lot. For me, I feel like it's no real difference how I play. You got to play your key and, kind of see ball, get ball without disrupting the defense yourself kind of thing. So, yeah.
Also, we always talk about Joey and Khalil as, devastating pass rushers, but they get after the run just as much. I don't know if you could speak to the fact that you, Sebastian, were brought in to help stop the run, but you got 2 bookends that can do the same.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like you said, you hear nothing but them pass rushing, getting to the quarterback, strip sacks, but seeing them, in person, play the run, how they play, being aggressive, stopping everything literally outside, it's a good feeling for us in the middle.
You're an incredible athlete. For people that don't know,
appreciate that.
You were a really good basketball player in high school. Look, you haven't been here that long, but have you been here long enough to assess?
Nobody here is going to beat me.
That's what I was going to say. Is anyone?
No one.
No one?
I heard Keenan was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think.
What about Derwin?
I heard Derwin was pretty good.
Yeah. I just think about the athleticism. I mean, if he could, Yeah, no. I mean, you're going to beat it. Okay.
Who's checking him in the post?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But one-on-one.
I don't need the post.
Oh, look at that. How far out can you go? You got full
range.
Range.
Green light.
Who was the head coach at Penn State? Was Carmody the head coach when you were there at Penn State? Was he the basketball coach?
Ooh. Oh.
Did they ever come find you? Did they ever say, look, man, we need help?
I'm try to stay away from that.
Because
try
that's
to
what
focus on football.
that happened to Willie at SC. They were like, the McGinnis, they were like, come on, can you have the football? It's like, you out of your mind.
I mean, at Penn State, we had a lot of good basketball players. I think we played the basketball team one time for football versus basketball, but I mean, I think we had Allen Robinson, who was All-American.
Oh yeah,
right.
Geno Lewis, who's like, we had a ton of guys on the football team that were really good at basketball. So, I mean, I don't think I would be the first one to be called if you have an All-American basketball player playing football. But
and Allen Robinson here in LA too now.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just stick to your sport and your position group. Outside of you and Sebastian, who's kind of stood out to you in that rotation? So many talented guys that are vying for, limited spots there.
Right. I mean, everybody has really shown up in camp, which is like, you don't really see that often. Sometimes there's fall off, sometimes there's, things happen, but every guy in that room has showed up during camp, and that's, really good to see. So it's going to be whatever happens, but I feel like it's going to be a tough decision for a lot of people.
Almost I think you just had 1 year of your career that you didn't notch at least a sack. Do you remember all of your sacks?
I'm pretty sure I do. I think so.
I
think so.
Helps on the wall.
I'm not like Coach Staley, just remembers everything.
Right. Do you remember the
He probably
quarterbacks?
remembers all your sacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably remembers everybody's sacks.
Do you remember the quarterbacks you sacked?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Do you want to name them?
Andrew Luck, Matt Ryan. Two Colts. Yeah, right. 2 Colts. Right. Goodness.
When you sacked Andrew Luck, did you say, "What a great sack"? That was a really great play by you, sir.
Yeah, kind of messes with your head a little bit. Kind of messes with your head a little bit. Oh, great tackle. Yeah. Thanks. But I guess I don't remember all my sacks.
Those are 2 good ones.
Yeah.
How about, have you ever sacked Russell Wilson, Carr, or Patrick Mahomes? Because that may happen this year.
No, I haven't. But I
Looking
would love
forward to doing
I would love
so.
to make that. I would love to making that a first time. That'd be awesome.
We talk about just starting the season the right way, man. How important is it for you guys to just hit the ground running against the Raiders and Chiefs? I know we got New Orleans Friday, and the preseason isn't over yet, but everybody's focused on this AFC West, and you get 2 division games back to back. Yeah,
that's going to be crucial for us. So we gotta, like you said, hit the ground running, but you got to start off fast. 2 division games; those are huge games for us, and huge games for them too. So we just got to come out, start fast, and keep it going. Don't stop.
Austin, when it comes to where you've played, your stops, New York, Tennessee, you faced the Chargers a couple times. Would love to know last year. I'm not trying to put this on you and the defense or anything like that, but it truly is. And I'm a bit of an old man. I've been doing this a little while, but the touchdown throw that Justin made to Guyton in that game it's the greatest throw I think I've ever seen in person. When you're on the field, can you sense crazy plays, just like outlier plays that stand out, even if you're the opponent or if you're on a sideline watching your own team? Because that just seems like one that would resonate with almost anyone that's ever been around football.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. Coach Staley has played that a few times, and I'm just like, oh man, it's a great throw. Like, it's just, Herbo's elite, so I can see him making that hopefully a few more times this year. Well, not a few, a lot more. But it's just an amazing throw. You don't see that too often, but yeah, he's elite, to say the least.
I was going to say, is that one of the reasons you chose this place? Is obviously the defense, but when you see a quarterback that's elite as Justin, could put up the points, helps out the defense. It was Justin one of the reasons that you said, okay, let me sign here at LA?
Yeah, Justin, but the offense in general, the coaches, Coach Staley, having a position coach like Jay is big. He's a great coach, very detailed. And obviously the defense and the rest of the pieces that were also brought here makes a big difference, I think. So I feel like that was one of the main reasons that I chose to come here.
You're certainly more matured. You've settled. But if you can, let's go back to Penn State for a second. Because Penn State is regularly cited as the, not top 5, not top 10, as the #1 party school in the nation. It regularly is. I mean, you know that. It's regularly cited as #1. Take us through.
It won't change.
And see, here we go. So now we're rolling.
He answers the question.
Yeah. Now we got a good start to this question. Take us through like one of the just some epic moments when you're like, how is this happening? How are there 3,000 people at this party right now? What is partying like at Penn State that it routinely is #1?
I feel like
Without getting yourself in trouble.
Awesome.
Yeah, right? No, just generalities. That's all. No specifics. We're just doing generalities.
I feel like the biggest thing outside of partying is that you could see someone and never see them again the rest of the 4 times that you're there, for 4 years that you're there. Like, you can just go, I could see you guys probably 2 days in a row and never see you for like 4 years. I'm like, wow, okay. And, but I mean, it's an amazing school. You see the people that pack the games there in the stadium, 100 plus, 110,000 people there. And that's just in the stadium, but outside the stadium too. It's just incredible fans, incredible people, students, all that. So it's a incredible place to be at, football and partying.
What was Reeder was your teammate there, right?
Yeah.
What was Troy Reeder like in college?
Same way he is now. Hasn't changed a bit. Yeah.
Austin, I know you got to go. Last thing, what are you doing on the sidelines on a Friday in New Orleans? Like where's your mind watching your teammates fight for roster spots and just try to improve as we get to week 1?
Well, obviously watching Raider tape, but also I think the most important thing for me is helping them try to play their best game that they can, because, you know, the reality of the situation is not everybody in our room is going to be there during the season. So being able to have them put good film out there for them to get picked up somewhere else or stay here.
You probably feel that in the room,
so
right? That this is the last chance for a lot of guys.
Yeah, so it's you know, trying to help them be the best player they can, make as many plays as they can in this game, and put good film out there for them.
Greatest defensive lineman in the history of Penn State besides you? Doesn't have to be successful NFL career. I just mean their time at Penn State, in college at Penn State. And we can go last, you don't have to dig way back. Let's go last 30 years.
30.
All right, last 20 years. I just want to get back to LeVar. So, like, we'll start it at LeVar and then move forward.
You said defensive lineman or
defensive lineman. I know he was
linebacker.
Yeah, he was an outside wearer. What was he wearing? Number 2?
Yeah. The LeVar leap.
Yeah.
Best defensive lineman. I feel like for me personally, kind of learning a lot from him, I'll say Jordan Hill.
He was in your draft class, right? I think.
No, Jordan Hill is 3 years older than me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, when we got drafted, went to Seattle. Yeah, him, Jared Aldrick. Goodness, a lot.
See, I was thinking I'm old. I'm thinking like Courtney Brown. Like I'm super.
It was Courtney Brown. LeVar went 1-2 that year.
Yeah, they went 1-2 that year.
Yeah.
We're too old. Goodness. I just realized I'm an old man.
But yeah, just for me personally, I'd say Jordan Hill. That whole, he just went nuts my freshman year, and just watching that, I was just like, goodness.
I'm going Austin Johnson. That's what I'm going with.
I like that answer.
I'm going with Austin Johnson. We appreciate you joining us, man.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
And you're welcome for us letting you cut 2 pounds while you were sitting here in the sun in a sweatshirt.
Thank you so much.
Hey, so Joshua Kelly, he got rid of Canes. Who was on it? Rumph was on it.
Oh, Khalil Mack got rid of it too.
Khalil Mack got rid of it. Where are you with Canes?
With Canes?
You in on it?
No.
It's all right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
I say overrated. It's a long line
I think
to
I
wait.
maybe had Canes one time, maybe.
That's the right answer.
No, it's
I feel the same way with In-N-Out. Five Guys is better than In-N-Out.
Oh,
hands down.
That's not going to stand.
That's okay.
You know what we have to do actually?
That's East Coast,
you know what though?
That's absolutely, yeah.
We're going to take you to Fat Burger. And you're going to you're going to realize
I've never heard of that.
Fat Burger's an LA thing. Magic Johnson owned a bunch of them, and then unfortunately, I don't know, they just kind of started petering out a little bit, but there's still some. We got to take you to Fat Burger. Trust me. Five Guys is good. Fat Burger's where it's
Just
at.
give me a ring. I'll hop in. We can go.
There we go.
There we go. Thanks so much, man. We appreciate you.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Austin Johnson joining us in the sun here at the Jack Hammond Sports Complex.
He gets to go to the shade.
Toasty.
Guess what we don't get to do? We don't get to go to the shade. We get to sit in the sun for another however many minutes.
We made the mic thing work. It may look pretty funny on camera. Farkas, what do you think?
It works.
It gets it done.
Sounds okay. There we go.
We're good. We got Austin. We got Bryce. So we knocked those out.
You got Jeff Miller.
We got Jeff Miller
Way
for
to
2
go
minutes.
with that. You upset Nick, and then you upset Jeff. Now
they
you've
left.
Yeah, they're gone. They've left.
All right. Okay.
over.
So, Nick, we're going to get you on. And Jeff, you know where you stand. Jeff is always on. Jeff is always on this podcast.
Exactly.
So Money, let's start with the Cowboys before we get to New Orleans.
Sure.
Your overarching takeaways from Saturday night.
It was not pretty. We've heard Coach and Tom, general manager, say it before. The one thing you don't want to come out of a preseason game is to be embarrassed. And I think it was a pretty upsetting night for the special teams, and I think it's important for people to also remember when you're watching it, they wanted that. They needed to evaluate special teams. We saw it all last year. Dustin Hopkins is going to boot every ball out of the back of the end zone. So you're not going to have kickoff returns in the regular season. They are content to not have their guys have to cover and give them the ball at the 25 unless they recognize something special. There's a flaw in their return unit or something. And I think what we saw in the first game with JK was so much hang time that everything was a fair catch. So I'm almost wondering if, and I don't know if they would ever kind of tell you this is the case, but if they told Dustin, hey, take a little off, we got to evaluate return. JK, hey, take a little off. We got to be able to get some of these punts returnable. And thank goodness they did, because as Coach Staley said, look, we're either going to fix it or we're going to find new guys. So that's the good thing about the preseason is you can sort these things out, you can figure them out. But the one thing I would say is I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. I just don't think that kick returns are going to be returnable unless guys are bringing them from 9 yards deep, which they're not going to do. Yeah. And I think JK, based on what we've seen so far, is going to have a lot of fair catches with his hang time. So that's, to me, sort of my, silver lining around that particular cloud. But it wasn't pretty. I thought the fronts of the Cowboys beat up on the Chargers pretty darn good all game long on both sides, on defense and on offense. I think the depth of the offensive line was a bit of a concern. Seemed like they were getting pushed around a lot. There were almost no running lanes available. Now, I say that. I went back and watched all of Zion's snaps. I thought he played great. Yeah. I thought Trey played very well in that game as well. So those two really stood out to me, which is important because they're your starters. And Josh Palmer stood out. And so...
Did he ever?
Yeah, what you want guys that are going to be starters as opposed to evaluation for depth and practice squad players. Those guys need to dominate against twos. And so to me, that's like the most important takeaway is, hey, Josh was out there, Zion was out there, Trey was out there. They played really well. So that's a good, and so did Mikey Davis, and so did Michael Davis. So to me, that's good. That's a good thing.
Fouts mentioned this on the broadcast, and you mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when you said, I really want to see special teams during the preseason because you can't fully practice it in training camp. So I feel like this was an opportunity to see, okay, what needs to get fixed? Is it scheme? Is it the guys? And now, what's going to happen on Friday? Can they make those corrections? My biggest thing is, so long as this doesn't spill into week one. There's a few guys who are going to be on that special team unit that were out there. Not everybody, though. So my biggest thing is, okay, let's not overreact. At the same time, special teams has been a concern here for several years.
Yeah, well, I think the concern is that there were guys out there that are going to be out there week one. Chris Rumpf, Xander Horvath is probably going to be out there.
Reeder was out there, I think.
Yeah, Reeder was out there. He's probably going to be your MVP. Nick Neiman is out there. So, that's the concern. Josh Kelly, that's the concern is that there are a lot of guys out there that are going to be out there week one. So, yeah, they're going to have to, we're busy focusing on the Dean Leonards, the Josh Sear-Taylors, those kind of guys. That's important because they're going to need, a couple of those guys are going to make the team. They're going to be special teamers, but it's that those core four guys were out there during those returns, and that's something they've got to definitely sort out. And look, it's good that it happened in the second preseason game, so like you said, they can correct it for New Orleans on Friday night.
Palmer looked like an all-pro in a preseason game, so that was good to see.
Yeah.
Listen, Michael Bandy. Michael Bandy keeps making plays.
Love him.
And I just wonder, he would be the sixth wide receiver, correct? So do you keep six wide receivers on this club as it's currently kind of constructed in our eyes?
Yeah, I think that's, look, that's a Tom Telesco question, Brandon Staley question. The one thing I would say about, why I don't think they would is I just can't envision them carrying 6 wide receivers for 17 games. Yeah. And so I think when you look at it that way, it's like, okay, we're going to have to expose him eventually, and how many reps is he really going to get in the regular season when you're probably barely playing, a 4th receiver? It's going to be 3 and sometimes 4 to rotate in there. So now you're talking about adding and Deandre Carter's going to be your 5th.
Yeah, we feel good about Carter being in there. Guyton is the 4.
Exactly. Guyton's the 4, Palmer's the 3. So it's like, okay, how does Bandy get in ahead of those guys? I mean, the good thing about Bandy is he can return. So to me, it's almost just like injury protection for DeAndre. Like if unfortunately, and obviously it's not going to happen, but if for whatever reason it did, it'd be nice to have Bandy on the roster or Joe Reed on the roster to be able to return kicks, punts, and be that 5th receiver. So that's where the conversation would come in.
You look around the league, there are some wide receiver deficient teams. So like I just wonder if Bandy plays well again on Friday and you can't keep him, can you even bring him back to the practice squad? Because I think for him, and this is what he's going to want. He's going to want to be on a
100%, and I hope he gets it.
Yeah,
if he goes to the practice squad, I hope he gets a call and gets to go play somewhere else. Just not the Raiders, Broncos, or Chiefs. But yeah, I think that's, and I think when people get so like there's 2 sides to it. One, love Bandy, want him to realize his dreams, make an active roster, play in an NFL game, earn a living, get a contract that's huge because he's performed so well. At the same time, I think it's so important for Chargers fans, like they did last year with T. Billy, we're talking about probably 2 guys, 52 and 53.
Yep.
52 and 53, every guy's important. The practice squad is important. Depth is important. But to freak out if they decide to keep an extra corner or an extra D lineman instead of the 6th wide receiver.
Yeah, last year was a cautionary tale with that, right?
And I try to tell people a million times, and I've said this a million times, when Justin Herbert is your quarterback, you can make bad receivers good receivers great receivers elite, because he's that good. So it's a different calculus for the wide receiver room because that guy's your quarterback. Yeah. But I want to see him play great. I want to see him be the MVP on the offensive side of the ball for the preseason. And I'd love to see him make the team number 1 if it works out that way. And if not, I'd love to see him be able to get an opportunity.
Biggest news of the week, J.C. Jackson going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. Got a procedure on his ankle. And 2 weeks would be game plan Wednesday for the Raiders. 4 weeks would put him past the Chiefs. So
it's a big swing.
It's a big swing, and especially coming off a surgery week 1 against Devontae Adams could be tough. So I think we're going to go silver linings here. The way Michael Davis has played, the way Asante Samuel's played in training camp, and the guy we spoke to, Bryce Callahan, in the slot. It's not J.C. Jackson, but there's depth there.
Yeah, it's not ideal with the way the schedule's laid out to have 2 division opponents in the first 5 days and be down one of the best corners in the league and someone who's going to make life really tough on Patrick Mahomes and Derek Carr.
Against maybe the best receiver in the league, Devontae Adams, week 1.
So that's it's a huge loss if he's out those 2 games. The one, the one thing, again, here's your silver lining, is a great pass rush can account for a loss in the secondary. So if Khalil and Joey and the guys up front, we talked to Austin Johnson and Sebastian and Jerry Tillery and those, Morgan Fox can put incredible pressure. And look, the Raiders have
an issue at right tackle.
They have an issue on O-line. Across the board, they have issues. So, I mean, look, even Colton Miller, their best offensive lineman, Joey has wrecked him his entire career. So, that's the one, that's the salve on the wound, is that you got a pass rush that you feel really good about where corners aren't going to have to be as sticky as if your pass rush isn't getting home in a hurry. So, and the other thing is we know that Derek Carr likes to get rid of the ball quickly. So mind your assignments, make your tackles, and keep everything in front of you and hope for those turnovers like we saw in week 3 last year against the Chiefs playing in this Brandon Staley scheme.
Darwin back in practice, Kenneth Murray back in practice. Yeah. And I think this is a guy, too, it's going to take some time for him to ramp up to be ready for the regular season. But just another piece, and Monday, if we look at this holistically as a 17-game season, getting Kenneth Murray back in week 4, week 5 would be an added boost.
Yeah, I think the Excuse me. I think the good thing, I don't know where that came from. I think the good thing is we've seen depth at linebacker. Troy Reeder was the best defensive player out there. He and Chris Rumpf in week 1, and he was playing middle where Kenneth would usually play. We've seen Van Noy out there, have incredible faith in him. Outside edge, we've seen Damon Lloyd come on, or I'm sorry, Jared Davis come on. Jamal Davis. There we go. Yeah. Jamal Davis come on strong, which would allow Van Noy to stay there if Davis makes the team and he can be that fourth rusher behind Chris. So Van Noy can spend most of his time inside, then okay, yeah, you can overcome that. And that's true. And not to mention the starter, which is Drew, who's incredible, who's one of the most underrated players on the team and in the NFL. I mean, he's as good as they come at run fits, at diagnose and attack, at covering. He's so stinking good. So, I would just tell Kenneth, dude, be 100%. Take your time, because that's the problem is, I think Kenneth has come back from injury a little bit early, and it's just, it's sort of compounded the issues that he's had.
Plus, you get the competitive mindset of, like, I got to get back.
Right. My guys are, look at these guys taking the reps. I got to get my reps, and so you hope that he just take your time, take your time. And when you're ready, then get out there. I don't think there's any rush for him to have to get out there with the depth they've been able to find at that position.
What do you want to see Friday in a way that'll correlate to week 1? Because obviously most of the starters are not going to play. I would imagine maybe even fewer now going into Friday. What do you want to see that will have you feeling good?
Yeah, I'd like to see the running game be better. I think just some of the outside of the first 2 drives in the game against the Rams, there really hasn't. It's just been. The holes haven't been there. The blocking has.
Spill was another guy we didn't talk about yet, who we don't know his status yet.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he played. Yeah. You roll an ankle, you're probably going to take a minute on that. But what the hell do I know? But yeah, I think I'd like to see some lanes. I'd like to see some holes open up. I'd like to see better than 1.7 yards per carry on rushes. Regardless of who's there. I think the O-line. I'd like to see the O-line play a little better. Some of the depth pieces on the O-line, because you're going to carry 3 of these guys, behind the starters. And so I'd like to see if it's Hymas, along with Sawyer, whomever that may be, I'd really like to see them play better as well. Clapp's going to make the team. So I think I'd like to see those guys play really well.
Yeah, DBs for me, like JT Woods, I still think he needs a little more time.
He does.
Jasir Taylor, Dean Leonard, those guys, I think you just want to see continual improvement throughout the preseason. I don't think those guys are going to be counted on early in the year.
No, I think you'll see a lot of Alohi Gilman instead of JT. I think, the idea was, could JT push Alohi for that job? And I think it feels like it's definitely Gilman's at this particular point. But you can see the flashes. Like, that's the great thing about JT Woods, is you can see the flashes where he's chasing something down from the backside and he's getting there in a hurry. He's fast. So that's something for sure to keep an eye on.
Let's end on this.
Please, because the sun is roasting the back of my head.
Don Coryell, man. I think it's
he's a finalist again.
I think it's finally going to happen.
It should have happened 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, Aaron and I, the way that Air Coryell, was, look, everyone was 3 yards in a cloud of dust back then. And Don Coryell was freaking spreading it out and throwing it all over the yard. And it was one of the most entertaining, styles of football that we've ever seen. And now it's, everywhere in the NFL, and they owe a lot of it to him. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It is a true football tragedy that he's not in there already.
San Diego State, Joe Gibbs was his offensive coordinator, John Madden was his defensive coordinator.
How about that?
I mean, Dan Fouts, talk about him revolutionizing just the tight end position, what we see in today's game. And I look at some of the coaches that have gotten in, and it's like, man, how is Don Coryell still sitting there waiting?
100%. 100%. Too much value put on Super Bowl trophies, which I understand. You got to win championships, but when it comes to coaches, to me, totally less about Super Bowls and more about innovation. Unless you're a freaking buzzsaw like Bill Belichick, then okay, I get it. But like that to me is, how have you changed the game? Did you revolutionize? Bill Walsh revolutionized the game. Paul Brown revolutionized the game. That's the sort of stuff that Don Coryell did, and he deserves to be in.
Buddy, this is our last one until we're virtual. I think we're virtual next week, and then for the rest of the season. So this was our last one in person.
How about that? Is that right?
I think, I don't know if we'll do it next week.
I don't know. Maybe we just set up at a local Fat Burger.
Get Farkas at the Lost Bean.
Exactly.
That third mic.
That's right.
We did it We did it with 2 mics
all right.
today. We got it done.
We face adversity head on.
Always appreciate our crew, Alex getting it done for us. We'll see you guys next week. This has been Chargers Weekly from Jack Hammett Sports Complex. No,
it's not.
this has been
Chargers Weekly from the Hogue Performance Center. The good news, Chris, is the sign is right in front of you. Literally right in front of
This
you.
has
It
been
says
Chargers
Hogue
Weekly
Performance
from the
Center.
Hogue Performance
Yeah,
Center.
it's
It's
right
been
there.
too hot. Goodbye.